I know I said before that the price of oil is determined by supply and demand. Actually, that's wrong. If you just trade on supply and demand, you're likely to lose money. According to researchers at the European economic think tank Bruegel, that might have been the case before the financial crisis of 2008, but since then, the factors driving the market have changed dramatically. Nowadays, they estimate supply accounts for only 15% of the change in prices, and demand accounts for 12%. The bulk of the change in price of oil, 73%, is due to changes in expectations. Just expectations. Oil is trading like a financial product in which the role of speculators has become dominant, not just traders. This graph shows their estimate of what moved the oil price with the contribution of expectations in green, changes in supply in blue, and changes in demand in red. So we have to ask, what affects the expectations for oil? One of the major points, as I mentioned before, is economic indicators. Market participants form views on future demand for oil by considering what the level of economic activity is likely to be in the future. So this is why oil prices react to GDP, PMI, and this. The weather and other factors, people are wondering about El Nino and stuff like that. But the main thing that we haven't discussed yet is geopolitics, and particularly the geopolitics of the Middle East. Let's face it, a lot of oil is produced in countries that aren't the most stable. Iraq, Libya, and Nigeria, for example. So people are always watching for signs of trouble in those countries that might restrict supply. Here's a graph of where oil is produced around the world. The darker the color, the more oil is produced there. And here's a graph of global instability. The darker the color, the more unstable the country. Do you notice any similarity between these two graphs? Yes, oil tends to be produced in unstable areas. Now, geography plays a large part. Many of the large Middle Eastern oil producers, including Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, can only access the sea through the Persian Gulf, as you can see in this map, or the Arabian Gulf, depending on which side of it you live on. Saudi Arabia's main loading port, Ras Tanura, is also on the Gulf side. Now, this narrow gulf is only 56 kilometers wide at its narrowest points, the Straits of Hormuz. And the shipping lane is only 3.2 kilometers wide. This is also the world's largest single source of oil. In 2011, an average of 14 tankers a day carrying some 20% of the world's traded oil sailed through that 3.2 kilometer shipping lane. That makes it an incredible choke point for oil. Now notice on this north shore of the Gulf is Iran, on the south shore is Saudi Arabia. These two countries are currently at war, basically, or at least proxy war. So hostilities between the two have waxed and waned, and Iran sometimes threatens to block the straits in order to publish its adversaries. This is why one of the main reasons why unrest in the Middle East is so damaging for the oil market. There are other choke points around the region too. For example, when the Egyptians overthrew President Mubarak in 2011, oil prices shot up out of fear that the Suez Canal would be closed and the oil pipeline that runs along it might be closed. So this is how geopolitics affects it. The point is that it's not necessary for events to cause any disruption in the supply of oil. It's just the threat that they might cause a disruption, and that's enough to send the oil price higher. Oil refiners will rush to buy oil and put it in storage so they'll have enough supplies even if oil becomes unavailable. And others will hedge their risk by buying oil futures, so that will push up current prices too. In short, traders wanting to speculate on the price of oil have to consider all the factors that might possibly at some time in the foreseeable future affect the price of oil, and they have to trade accordingly.